Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana, and I'm here today with, I believe, episode 15 of the Herbcrafters Tarot. And I want to welcome you to this episode and invite you into our journey with this deck. This has been a really interesting deep dive into the Herb Crafters, and we are by no means done. There will be at least 3 or 4 more episodes. And if you are not a member of this channel and have missed previous episodes, know that they are available in a playlist, and you can access those for just a few dollars a month. And I decided today that I was going to make this a public video just so we could invite more friends into this conversation. This is such a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. And today we are going to weave together the energy of what we were talking about last week in the nines with the Madres, the mothers, and also I'm going to build in another connection as well too. So welcome to this episode. Hello to Lydianne and Tamianne and Joseph. That's lovely to have you here. Okay, so let us go to cards. And as always, and I also want to wish you full moon blessings. Not full moon, new moon blessings. New moon. Perhaps for me, one of the greatest gifts of this new moon is sitting in contemplation of Jupiter going direct at the end of the zodiacal cycle. And this great guru planet, I am open to and wanting to receive its message with my whole being. I have been deep in mantra. I think I was woken at 3 a.m. I heard one of my daughters chattering away, and had a very hard time getting back to sleep. So it's going to be a long day, but there's also another reason why I was awoken, and there's something about the pulse of energy right now. Let's go to Joseph's question. If you use this deck for a reading and working through a problem or shadow, can you learn what herbs to use for healing? Yes and no, because depending on the season that you are working with the deck, these herbs might not be available. The plants might not be available. Some of them will be available in dried form. This is not just about ingesting herbs, but there are suggestions for each of the cards in crafting with them and working with them in other ways as well too. Also, in the region where you live, the plants may or may not be available they may not grow where you live. So there's that issue as well too. Early on in the series, I mentioned I had heard that somebody wished Herbcrafters was available for a different region as well too, because the plants in this deck are primarily from the Pacific Northwest and the Sonoran Desert, which are the places where the creators Joanna Powell Colbert and Letitia Guthrie are from. So this is not all of these plants are not, many of them are universal, but not all of them. I think in working with this deck, it could also inspire you to work with a similar plant energy. So I'll share with you some of those thoughts as we go through the cards today, okay? Because I think this is a really good question, Joseph. And I will review some of the concepts because I think this is also good for all of us to go back and review. Review is never a bad thing. All right. So let's start with the suit of air, the mother of air. And remember that her tool is the atham, the bowline, the knife. And she works with this with tremendous skill. The energy of the mother is one of deep connection and care with the community. So these cards are all about, they all have a sense of reciprocity. They all have a sense of working for the greater good, and working with others. And she has learned this through her deep experience with the plants. I have never worked with motherwort myself, never grown it. All of the plants in the Suit of Swords, does it call it the Suit of Air, grow tall and tend to have a tall, slender shape to them. And one of the things in this particular card that is mentioned is that the motherwort is a little rough on the skin. So there's prickles. So the harvesting of this must be done quickly and with some skill. And also notice how she's not gloved up either. So that is another, I find that really interesting, knowing that this plant has prickles on it and not being gloved up. I don't think this is just an artistic thing. I think this is um, it shows a relationship with the plant as well. Motherwort, the Madre of Air, is led by a deep sense of integrity. She cuts right to the point, even if it hurts. And I think integrity is not necessarily a keyword that we may use with the Queen of Swords. Integrity is such an important quality in a community leader, in a guide. Now, this is not a curandera, right? This is not a curandera. This is a madre. This is a mother. So we started with the curanderas when we were doing this series, and there's to me, there's a different feel of energy from a curandera to a madre. And the curanderas, I feel there's more of a shamanic energy. There's a deep, um, and there may also be a sense of aloneness. Now, even though the curanderas will work as the guides and the teachers, it has a very different feeling from the warmth and the heart of the mother. And this is one of the joys of sitting with this deck, is looking at the nuances of energy between the different levels of the cards. So working with the bowline, working with the tall plants, this is the energy of the Suit of Air. And the final sentence for this particular card is embrace your sharp edges. Listen to this one. Embrace your sharp edges. They create the container for your tenderness. Embrace your sharp edges. They create the container for your tenderness. To me, that is just mind-blowing. I love the way that that sits. Even the Mother of Swords, perhaps the Mother of Swords teaches us how to embrace our tenderness. And she finds this way to cut through the truth, a little bit detached, but she is fully aware of the power of this tenderness and the how the emotion, um, how emotion is part of the healing process. Now, don't forget that when we're looking at the madres, we're looking at the emotional, watery component of the court. So there's this deep level of water connection among all of these madres. She soothes unchecked emotions and allows common sense to come forward. Okay, now I'm going to have to leave the medicine of the plant to you to look up. One of the craft ideas is to wear motherwort as an amulet for courage and strength. So this, like I said, I haven't worked with this plant, nor have I researched it, but just thinking of it beyond its so Joseph, part of working with this deck, I think, so for me, the plants that I am familiar with, I work with as herbs and plants. The plants that I don't have a tangible connection to, I have tended to focus more on the global message of the card itself. And I think one of the biggest lessons in this deck, it has been looking at um, and acknowledging the medicine of the numbers. So what I said last week was when we're looking at the nines, because the nines are all fruit, and there is a sense of uh, incredible femininity in the fruitfulness, the fertility, the fecundity, the what is being produced. And I wanted to contrast and compare what is going on with, and if there's any connection we can bring with the nine of air, the madre of air, to deepen our understanding of what is happening there, because there's a powerful feminine energy that is present in the nines. Nine is a perfect number. I think that's one way it's described. It is the triple completion, right? It's the it's it is fulfillment. It is it is the fruit of the suit, so to speak. And the one who is the madre is the caretaker of the suit. She is the one who nurtures the suit. Now, another amazing connection we have here, I don't know if you remember back to our discussion of the sixes. The sixes are the community plant. And I know we've looked at the sixes a few different times. I'll just take them right now. So as you are working with this deck and reading with this deck, do your best to, what I want to say is, embrace these connections. So the mother, the madre, is the one who cares for the community. The sixes are about the community itself. And I have the Empress on the table and the fruit. And so we have so much powerful feminine energy in this deck. The whole of the deck is connected to the hand. The hands are important here. The hands hold the tools. The hands hold the plants. The hand connects to the heart. And one of the very, I think, important things to understand here is that the use of both hands. And that's where the medicine and the balance comes in. The hand of the receiving the medicine from the plant, but also the giving back. So the using of the left and the right side is, I think, it's an important part of all that is going on here. It looks like the feathers and turquoise on her bracelet. Turquoise has a very protective energy. I like that layer of meaning. When I quickly glanced at your comment, that also brought in a link to this card. And I wonder if at some subtle layer this is intentional. Okay. Mother of fire, we think of as gregarious, warm, the one who you walk into the room, or if you're at a party, there's always people gathered around her. She's easygoing, and she's confident in her energy and her sexuality. And that is not different in this card. She is So she's represented by time, and the that play on words is kind of mind-boggling to me. And I'm listening to the hummingbirds buzzing around. I've left my door open because Amber hasn't been walked this morning. I just hope a hummingbird doesn't fly into the house. That would not be a good thing. Time. So time can warm a salad. Time can warm a meal. Thyme is a very simple herb to use. It's not something that requires a tremendous amount of education. And the thing about the mother of fire is she's not there to intimidate. She's there to encourage others to feel warm as well too. And whether she's making more of a witchy potion or a tincture with thyme, or she's simply using it as flavoring for cooking, I think her accessibility is an important part of this. All of the plants that are in the mother cards are easy to grow and easy to work with. They're not overly complicated. So they're about nourishment. They're about care. They represent the energy of mother and all that mother embodies. She radiates the vitality of love. Embrace your inner glow. It warms the hearts of others. And this was my, I suppose, my inquiry last week is, what is the difference between the motherly, fruitful energy of the nines versus the Madre quartz? And is there something that we can, is there a way that we can find a language with that to deepen our understanding of this energy? And I think I said that with the previous combination of cards, is that it is the fruit that shows us the potential of the suit. It truly is the fulfillment, right? It is the fruit of the suit. And we're looking at, I feel, so much more than caretaker energy, than the nourisher of the suit, the one who makes the energy of the suit completely accessible. And it's she wants to invite healing. She wants to make this accessible to community. And as soon as I say that word, then that takes me to 6 and takes me to a deep reflection of the whole 3-6-9 relationship and how femininity in this deck is reflected very overtly with 3-6-9 and mother. So you can't get away from it in this deck, and it would make such a beautiful reading and something very, imagine a reading where, I don't know, a young woman was asking about fertility, asking about, yeah, it's really, it's beautiful. Now, is this a deck that you, in what way or how would you, if you're reading for a practical sort of energy, um, corporate career work type of reading, could you use a deck like this? I think the potential, I think the forte, and we'll do it's funny, I'm going to do an interview once we're done with this deck, once we're done with this deep dive. I think I did one years ago not that many years ago. The deck hasn't been out that long. I got it when it first came out. I just remind myself of how not so old this deck is. 2019. Creative process, the care and attention that is needed in the creative process perhaps the healing of energy among the staff, the employees, the co-workers. So when any of these themes were arising, this might be a really beautiful deck. And I don't think this is just a deck for the spring and summer months. This is a deck that that needs nourishment, that needs care, that needs to be active on a regular basis so that we find deeper connections and understand that the working with the plants is not just about the tinctures and the teas, but it's also about the crafting with it and how the crafting can support us in other months as well too. Okay, I'm just going to highlight a couple of Lydia Ann's comments. Madre of Air cuts to able to refresh, deep breathe with more brain space. That is really beautiful. Yes. So remember, breath is also an important part of air, the suit of air, and that takes us into the heart connection as well too. Air being the element of the heart space. And then Lydia Ann says, time, like other spicy herbs, ignites the mouth and move the body. The Madre invites to spice up, perhaps. So there is a quality of sexuality with that. So taste. Each of the senses is connected to a bodily function, and taste and sex go together. Taste and second chakra. So that's an interesting connection. Thank you for reminding me of that. We didn't talk about the other senses, and maybe that's something we can review as we go through. So let's go on to the Madre of Water. The Madre of Water. I feel very humbled, I suppose, humbled by this particular card. So we're looking at oats here. And the reason that oats are planted is for the nourishment of the soil. Now, of course, there is a product that is reaped. But my sense of this card is a deeper level of care for the soil, in extension, the community, by the care and the care in planting oats. So the ground is replenished, the ground is nourished. And this particular card will take us into the composters and the because there's a couple of different connections here as well too. So this is an important card to well, maybe I'll talk about this next week when we're looking at the tens. Let's just let me go to that right now just for 1 second. Because it is the tens that are the replenish cards. And if you think about 10 as the full cycle, there's this connection here with the Madre of Water and the tens. The tens are grown for their ability to nourish and restore soil. They are the healers of the earth. And here we have Water of Water. And I know that is often a common association with Water of Water is healer. So this fits perfectly. Yeah, and I love the whale tail on her cup. The 6, just as a reminder, the 9 of water. So the fruitfulness of water was this beautiful peach card. And I mentioned that while this is a wild rose on the Empress card, the blossom looks very similar. It's kind of beautiful. Okay, now let's go to, I want to expand on a comment from the book, and then I'll go to Lydia Ann's comment. The Madre of Water is a master of self-care. And there is a tendency, I want to say, I don't think it matters if you're a man or a woman. There is a very, for those who aren't doing this work, I mean, any kind of spiritual work, there's a tendency to see self-care. That could be having a mantra practice as self-indulgent. I remember, so I have a friend. She was a friend for years and years. I don't see her anymore. And she had this really derogatory name for yogis. I forget what she called it. She called us navel gazers. And I felt that to be such an ignorant view of what meditation, deep mantra practice is. It's not self-indulgent. It's a practice of filling one's cup so one can serve. If your cup isn't full, you can't serve. You can't be of service if you are depleted. And so the mother, and that takes us into depletion of the soil. So the mother of cups is the one who reminds us how important it is to replenish, to nourish, to fill our cups on a daily, weekly basis. And this is a theme that arises. This is very getting to be a very difficult season. There's a lot of illness and death. End of November, December, January. Caretakers are very worn out, especially at this time of year. And so this is a really important card, I think, when showing up for you in a reading, to remind yourself, how will I fill my cup today? Yes, I must continue to nourish this relationship with the community and the land and society, but also if I don't take care of me, myself, and I cannot be of service. The Madre of Water is a master of self-care. She is kind and gracious to others because she is kind and gracious to herself. She cannot be kind and gracious to others if she is not kind and gracious to herself. The Madre of Water transforms tension into healing. So she understands the physical, emotional relationship that the fact that emotion is energy in motion, and she understands that in order to move through something energetically, we must allow the waters to move and flow and rise. Embrace your emotions. They expand your capacity for compassion. It seems there are so many beneficial angles to using this deck. I think as well too that this deck, I love that idea of doing it for Sabbath readings. Yes. This deck is a way, and not that all decks don't do this, but I think this deck gives us an opportunity to deepen, to add a layer. And that if you work with this deck enough, these images will come back to you as you are working with other decks and other images. I was just gifted by the lovely Elena Strandberg, Outgrow Yourself. And this is a deck that's full of plants, and I'm wondering if it's one that I could use in, you know what, I want to work with some of my plant decks together, to create either Druidcraft plant. So that's one that is a very healing deck. And I also think the Soul Flower Oracle. So there's something that I might pull together for the final couple of episodes where I bring in a few different healing decks and see how they come together, because I think that would really deepen our understanding of some of the things we've learned on this journey. The important lesson here actually might be good to go back and look at the cards. I love the glow that is coming off the offering. And I have shared with you a few of my different approaches for offerings. When I step, so if I go from the concrete or the asphalt, jump across the creek and head into the forest. I get into the forest. I take a breath in, I take a breath out. I may be simply walking the dog. I might be there for the air, a peace of mind. I might be there for foraging, one thing or another, collecting twigs for a craft. Whatever my intention is for entering into that sacred space, I pause and I take a breath in and out. And there's certain trees that I address. There's one I call father, there's one I call mother. But I'm in a place of gratitude. And that moment of pause is, I also have a Japanese expression that I use, which is ojamashimasu, which is something you say when you enter a Japanese home. It kind of means, excuse me for trespassing. Thank you for letting me trespass. Sorry for bothering you, sort of thing. And the that in itself, I think that level of humility is an offering in its way. I also offer mantra. I offer the frequency of mantra as I'm walking. Now, this particular card is about the offering and the blessing that one gives back to spirit. And here we're seeing an offering of these creosote flowers to Mother, to Gaia herself. And I think this is just, this card is a reminder of that. Whether it is a cutting of your hair, whether it is a sprinkle of water from your water bottle, whether it is the practice of offering tobacco. I know tobacco is another sacred one. I you I have. I think I need to replenish that bundle. I have a bundle of rosemary and lavender, which I have in abundance around here. And so I often use that as an offering. And I see both lavender and rosemary as coming from the heart chakra. And so that is, if that's not something that you do, that might be something that you want to put together, and have a medicine pouch that is just something that you carry so that you can make offerings at random places. Even if you're not taking something foraging, you are damaging the ground, you're damaging, the microcosm with every footprint that you take. So I think that that idea of offerings is really an important part of the Herbcrafter's experience, and that's what the medicine of this card is about. Yeah. Blessing. There's a sense of blessing with the sun. Mhm. And in many cultures, offerings, right? We give offerings to ancestors. We give, anyway, you get the idea. Offerings. The fruitfulness of the suit of earth is the apple, which, if you remember, is and I'm sure a lot of you've harvested apples, right? They can last through to the spring if they're properly stored. So there's an enduring quality to this. Now, the other aspect of the Mother of Earth card has to do with stamina. Creosote plant flower can grow in depleted soil. And in reflection, it also shows, and to a degree contradicts the energy of what we were talking about in this particular card. So there's this powerful conversation here between the Mother of Water and the Mother of Earth. And I'll just read to you the couple of lines. This is actually, gosh. The Madre of Earth provides for herself and community. Like the creosote bush, she creates many remedies. She honors the land and gathers the medicine. She is in good health. And this does not contradict what I was saying about the Mother of Water. She is in good health. She eats well. She exercises. She walks. She is in good health because she knows she is an important server of the community. She inspires others to do the same with her grounded daily rituals. She knows creosote bush thrives in depleted soils where other plants cannot. She too is considered a survivor because of her ability to grow strong. Because she has so many practices, because she has such a deep relationship with the plants, she can nurture herself in a way that perhaps others cannot. She knows how to receive, as does the Mother of Water. Now, what I was saying was the contradiction here is that she can, maybe it's not a contradiction. So when the environment is stale, when the environment is of a low frequency, she has tools, she has practices to raise that frequency. She won't wilt in a depleted environment. She will find a way to thrive. She's tough, like those rocks we see in the background. This is as a desert scene as well too. So there is not a lot of water on the surface either. I find the lessons in these cards to be quite profound. And what I get from this deck and what I don't get from many is and maybe it's because I find such a I've worked with many plants myself, but I like taking the time. So here's an example. Let's get a Rider-Waite-Smith, Mother of Pentacles, and have a bit of a conversation. Let's see if we can do this. Should be right here because I'm teaching a class soon. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let's get one from another deck as well, too. She has the resources. She has the tools to thrive. She will not wilt. In a depleted environment. Another card that's coming to mind, I believe in the Druidcraft Tarot, she is drumming. So she's connected to a tool that has been made of the earth, using the frequency of the drumming to raise the frequency of the community. Often we see that the Queen of Discs is of the earth. She may be depicted as a tree. She may have she's often has a larger body as well too. And I want to say they, not she. She is a substantial person. And she is healthy. She is healthy. And I think that is a an interesting statement that we see in this card. She is the 77th card in the tarot. That's a pretty magical number. 7 11s. She is the 77th card. Just a random thought. Okay. Next week, we're going to look at the 10s. And I will come back and I'll bring in the Madre of Water and we'll build the connection with the 10s and I'm thinking of things like chickpea is another one that you can plant to replenish the soil. This is also looking at composting, I'm sure, and other medicines for the exchange and the reciprocity. And I believe there was another card as well too that we will we'll go back to and build in that connection. So next week is the 10s. We still have the Hias and the Adelitas, and then we'll do some readings with the deck. Okay, so we're at week 15, so 16, 17, 18, probably about 18 or 19 weeks before we get on to another deck. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. And please remember that these episodes switch between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And if you go to my page, it tells you on my introductory video which weeks it's 4 p.m. and which weeks it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so thanks everybody. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see some of you later tonight. I'll be doing a deck comparison. Bye for now.